All right, guys, so this picture you're seeing on screen is a picture of me at 16, 17 years old. And this guy, God bless him, but he had like all the classic, like beta male, nice guy traits. I was a very insecure person at this time. And I left high school a virgin. And it was this huge pain in my life. Like, I felt like I was the only guy who sucked with women. And it didn't help that one of my good friends at the time was this guy who was like the party king of high school. He got all the girls. Some kind of friend he is, though, because I remember when I was like 18, 19 years old, I still hadn't lost my virginity. He literally at a party started mocking me publicly in front of everybody, including women, for the fact that I was a virgin. He just started making fun of me. And just think about what kind of guy I was that at that time I took that. I didn't do anything. I didn't stand up for myself. I took it, felt ashamed, felt embarrassed of myself. I was a very insecure, very unconfident person at this time. Like I said, I just didn't know who I was as a man. I didn't really like who I was deep down. Like I just had this angst about myself because I was like, this isn't how my life should be going. Why is it this way? Why do I suck with women? All that kind of stuff that I'm sure a lot of you guys can probably relate to. Now, here's the man that you guys see on screen today. I'm sure you've seen these pictures before if you watch my channel. A completely different person than I was then. Like, I can't even remember hardly what it was like to be that guy. My mindset is completely different. Gotten rid of all of that old programming I used to have that I got raised with. I'm on a career path that I love. I've got tons of confidence. I love who I am as a person. And as far as women goes, listen, I'm not here to pretend like I'm a dating coach. I have no interest in being a dating coach. But let's just say I don't have women problems anymore, okay? Like, I've solved that area of my life. And in this video, what you're gonna learn is why being bad with women young is a blessing and how to use pain to get ahead of 98% of men. So the first thing you need to understand is that pain motivates change. I wish it was different, but that's the way it is. I mean, think about every superhero movie. Right here, we got Batman, his parents murdered, and that's what turned him into Batman. Luke Skywalker down here. For those of you who've watched Star Wars, you'll know Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Luke Skywalker to leave Tatooine with him. And Luke Skywalker says he's not going to leave. He's going to stay there until he gets back to his family's compound and realizes his entire family has been murdered. The pain of that happening causes him to leave his home planet and go off on the adventure of his life. Pain is the catalyst for change. And so we go back to my story now. This is a picture of me a couple years after that first one. I'm probably like 18, 19 years old in this picture, still terrible with women. Like I said, this is right around the time where I'm getting mocked for being a virgin publicly, and I'm taking it. I'm like a doormat socially. I have no confidence in myself. I just feel like that's my lot in life. Very passive, nice guy type of dude, right? No understanding of how the world actually works. But this guy was in a lot of pain. And you might not see it on his face right there, like trying to smile through it and all that kind of stuff, but this guy really did not like who he was, and he didn't like his experience of reality. I remember it was constantly, it was the things like, girls not texting you back. You go out to a party, and the girl that you secretly like, she's hooking up with some other guy, and you don't understand what you've done wrong. You've been the nice guy and all this kind of shit. I was dealing with all of that type of stuff. And finally, I'd had enough of it. And the pain motivated me to do something about it. And so I went to our favorite website, YouTube, and I started looking. And this was around the time when the personal development movement kind of started. And the interesting thing about the personal development movement is that it was really motivated by a lot of guys who struggled with women. That was like the primary motivator for a lot of the guys that you might look up to online right now. It's like they sucked with girls, and that started them down the personal development route. And I was the same way. I was watching content like this. This is like OG self-improvement days, like 2017, way before like the Hamzas and like it became more of an industry, right? Far From Average. Some of you might have heard of this channel. It was really popping back at the time. He would put up these like videos. It was like the OG animation kind of self-improvement videos. And he would talk about everything from, body language to alpha males to evolutionary psychology, all this kind of stuff that I started consuming right here. This guy up top, his name's RSD Tyler. He was this dating guru at the time, and like I don't know if he's legit or what he's up to at this point, but had a positive impact on me. I learned some stuff about being attractive to women from here. You got on the bottom here, that's a Charisma on Command thumbnail. I was watching their channel at the time. They were popping off, things like that. I was learning how to be this charismatic, socially popular, attractive guy. It's around the same time that I started consuming the red pill as well. And what happened around this time is I began to learn how to be an attractive man. I lost my virginity. I started feeling a lot more confident. I was way better in social settings. I wasn't putting up with being the doormat anymore. I quickly kind of rose up that hierarchy because I started to understand how this stuff worked. I was doing better with women. I just felt significantly better about myself, which led to this right here. And this is where things really start changing. The interest in being an attractive man led me to wanting to be the best version of myself. And I started consuming content like this. And listen, I don't give a fuck what you think of any of the guys on the screen. The point is, these guys positively impacted my life. And whereas the average guy at like 19, 20 years old was consuming junk and watching sports all day, this is the type of stuff I was consuming. This was when Jordan Peterson was getting hot on the internet, back when his stuff was actually really good. It was like personal development kind of content from the psychology perspective, hitting on archetypes, like all this interesting stuff. Ty Lopez was like kind of one of the original guys breaking down the entrepreneurial lifestyle, and he introduced me to that, and a lifestyle where I could, make more money and, control my own destiny rather than having to be in a cubicle, which is where I thought I was going to end up at in life. Grant Cardone introducing me to financial freedom, real estate. I read this book right here, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was the first personal development book I ever read. Immediately changed my social life. Like, I suddenly understood how to be like the person people liked in social situations and not be the doormat. This book down here, Engineering the Alpha, it was this fitness book, but it was also more of this men's kind of lifestyle book. Had a big positive impact on me at the time as well. It's not an exaggeration to say that the pain of being bad with women led to me finding myself. And I became this kind of guy right here. And this is literally like 18 months from that picture of me talking about me not liking myself. I'd gotten in the best shape of my life. I had found a sense of purpose. I dropped out of college, got my real estate license. I've lost my virginity. I'm way better socially. Like, I radically changed over about an 18-month period. Once I'd finally said I've had enough of the pain of being terrible with women and being the doormat socially. I'm tired of this shit. Once I'd had enough of that and made change, things happened really quick and I became a completely different person. You gotta understand, I was on the normie path in life, and being bad with women is what got me off it. So what do I mean by that? Well, I was going to college to become an HR manager. I'm sure a lot of you have heard me tell this story before. I was just going to get a business administration degree. I had no real plan for my life. Like I said, I didn't like myself, didn't like my future, and this is kind of why I spent most of my time getting drunk and high with people who didn't even really treat me with much respect. Like I said, mocking me for being a virgin. These are the kinds of people I was around. Not exactly a crowd that wants to see you do well in life. They're putting you down. But this is my social life. I had no real purpose. I thought my life was going to suck. I was on that normie life path. Go to college, get a degree, get a job you don't like, buy a house, get married. Like, that's what I thought my life path was going to be. Like, I remember like thinking out loud, like, I guess I'm going to get married to somebody at 20 years old and this is going to be my life. Like, that was my plan. Like, I had no idea, like I had no passion, didn't know if the girl was going to like me again. I didn't know myself. I was no kind of man at this point. It was literally the fact that I sucked with women that got me off of that path. And the interesting thing, though, is that once I understood how to be attractive to women and like I fixed that area of my life, I realized it was never the point to begin with. It's just a bonus that comes with getting on the path to being the man you were born to be and living the life that you want to live. So what do I mean by this, guys? I mean, like, I got the female issues solved to the point where, like I said, I lost my virginity. I got that monkey off my back. I understood how to be attractive. But the beauty of all of this was that it got me on my purpose. It unlocked a version of myself that I didn't even know existed, the version of myself that I really wanted to be. It made me realize there was more out there for myself. It changed literally everything for me. And so now I look at it, it's like, yeah, that's great to be attractive to women, but it's like the real benefit of all of this was like I became the man I was born to be. You understand? Now, imagine a different reality. This is something I was thinking about, and this is what inspired me to make this video, is I asked myself this question not that long ago. I said, what if I had been good with women in high school? I was just thinking about that. I was like, like, how much different would my life be? Where would I be right now if I had actually, and I'm not even saying been the Chad in high school who just got all the chicks, but like, let's say I'd had like a girlfriend and, I'd been okay with women, all that kind of stuff. Like, I hadn't sucked at it. Well, this would dead ass be my life right now. Genuinely. I'd be working in a cubicle. I would look like the fucking Fight Club guy. That would be my relationship, some shit like that. I'd have a house like that. That would be my life. I would be on the normie life path because here's what would have happened. Like I said, I was going to college to get that business administration degree. Well, it was the pain of being bad with women that motivated me to make big changes in my life. Whereas, like, let's say I went off to college with a girlfriend, okay? So there's a few different obvious variations of how this life path could have gone, but, one of the likely ones is I go to college with a girlfriend and it's like, well, she wants to be on the normal life path. And, the way most guys do their lives is most men live the female life path. They never really experience their prime. They never go after the perks of male life because kind of society puts us on the female life path where it's like, you go to college, the woman wants to have kids early on because she's got her biological clock ticking. Men don't peak until later in life, but we're all kind of on this path where we go to college, get married, have kids, and then fucking die. That's basically the way the life path works. So I probably would have gone to college with this girlfriend, and I would have been like, well, I can't drop out of college. This is my plan. I've got this girlfriend. I would have had the nice guy mindset, right? So I'm going to be on that blue pill, beta male kind of lifestyle. Let's do what she wants. Let's build this family, all that kind of shit. Probably wouldn't have been very respected by my girlfriend. She's just keeping me around or whatever. I get out of college, I've got some soulless job I'm not passionate about. I've got a house like that. I'm in debt. I don't like my job. I'm probably not in nearly the shape I'm in. I'm not as confident as I am. My life's in a completely different place because I was okay with women in high school. And then in another alternate reality, I date the girl in high school. I go off to college. She just leaves me for a different guy, and I have to deal with that reality because those are usually the two paths for guys who are okay with women in high school. They end up going off, they marry the girl, and they kind of crash out from there, and their lives just kind of fizzle out. Or the girl dumps them, and they go through this heartbreak phase, and they're kind of lost in life, and then they end up working at fucking Starbucks for years or some shit, and they're just kind of wandering through life. This is the two paths that tend to happen to guys who are pretty good with women in high school, and they've got a girlfriend. But I look at this and I'm like, thank fucking God I was terrible with women. Because who cares if you're good with women when you're young? This is again why I say being bad with women young is a blessing. As a man, you got to understand we're put on this wrong. Like I said, we get put on a timeline that's not appropriate for us. As men, if you put in the work, by the time you get to your late 20s, early 30s, your life is getting better and better. You are hitting your peak. You're hitting your stride. You're figuring out this game. Your career's going well. Your fitness is in good spots. All this stuff starts clicking for you. It's who gives a fuck if you were good at women from 16 to 22? Who cares? Or even into your mid-20s, right? Who freaking cares, right? Because it's just scraps. You're not getting the real thing. It's the girl you thought was pretty in high school. She's probably out of shape at this point. I mean, every girl that I thought was attractive in high school, genuinely, to a woman, I don't think I would date any of them at this point. They've all crashed out. They're all out of shape. So it's just being bad with women young is a blessing, guys, because you save yourself from this shit. And I know a lot of you watching this right now, probably it's a pain point of yours, because you probably clicked on this video because you're I can relate to being bad with women young or something like that. And it's this pain point in your life, but I want you to understand the fact that you're feeling the pain is the catalyst for change, like I said, and you're going to get to avoid this kind of shit if you just do the work. Whereas if you had been in this comfortable mediocrity, which we're getting ready to discuss, this would have been your life, okay? Comfort breeds mediocrity. You need to understand that. Ask yourself, where are the high school and college kings at now? Just reflect on it. To a man, all of them I wouldn't trade places with. None of them. All the guys I was man, I wish I was like that guy, I would not trade places with anyone I have envied. I think about the guys who peaked in college, right? They were the frat party king. It's some of them went to jail. Some of them are out of shape right now. Some of them are divorced. Some of them are just, their lives suck. They're not making the money I want to make, and I'm sure there's exceptions to this out there, but for the most part, the guys who get that kind of comfortable lifestyle when they're young end up crashing out when it matters most, which is your late 20s, early 30s, and beyond. Because they were comfortable, so they didn't have that pain to motivate them to be better, and so they kind of enjoyed it. The high school jock is now making $45,000 a year as a cop, and he's got some girl who's gaining weight. This is their lives. It happens over and over and over again. You just see it. It's all the time. And so I would not trade places with these people. And it made me realize when I was making this video, there are 3 life paths. And you need to understand this, guys, because this is the big trap that some guys fall into when they feel the pain and they get bitter and resentful. I want you to understand these 3 paths so you can make the right choices in life. Truthfully, make the choices I've made. I got to give myself credit for this. I've made the right calls with this stuff. Now, this is path 1. It's the comfortable mediocrity path. So what you'll see right here on the y-axis is like quality of life for the average man. And then on the x-axis, you'll see ages, like 14, 16, all the way to 34 there. And you'll see that like the average person with kind of a mediocre, comfortable lifestyle where they're not feeling that pain, they had a girl who was interested in them, or maybe they were the life of the party in high school. They were the quarterback, whatever it is. Their life quality by the time they get to around 18, it's up here around like a 4 out of 10, something like that. And keep in mind, like when you're down bad and you're in this situation, you think that's a good quality of life. You're like, man, I wish I could be the high school quarterback, or I wish I could be that guy with the pretty girlfriend who's popular at the high school party, or the frat king. Like you wish you could be these people when you see them and you're 18, 20, 22 years old. We've all been there. Like I used to envy these kinds of people. I'd be like, what? How can I be like them? I'd be trying to like be like them, copy their walk, or how does he get the girls? All this kind of stuff. I'd want to be like those guys. We've all been there, But what happens to them is life hits them eventually. 22 years old is about the end of the peak, and then it starts declining from there. Their weight gain happens, like they start getting fatter and fatter. Like you see this all the time. The girl they were dating, now they've married her. He's not the man that he used to be, so she doesn't respect him. He's not the frat king anymore. He has no status in life. He's making practically no money. She's gaining weight and she doesn't respect him. And this is what happens. You see this all around. It's just couples that crash out. They both gain weight together, have a kid, get a mortgage, and they look back on, like, reminisce on when they were in their prime in their early 20s or in their late teens. Like, why would you want to be in your prime then, honestly? Because, again, the best your life's going to be is like a 4 out of 10 when you're 20 years old. It's just not going to be good as a man. I'm sorry. As a woman, it can be amazing at 20. As a man, you don't get to experience the best of life at 20. You just don't. You have to pay your dues. Now, here's the second life path that you can go on. Well, this is the pain path. And I want you to also understand here, this chart, it can represent one area of your life or it can represent the whole thing, right? This could be you when it comes to women, and maybe in another area of your life you were comfortable. Or it could be your whole life and you felt this sense of like pain and like my life sucks, I don't like this, right? But you get the idea. The point is like there's either an area of your life or your entire life you're in pain and you're down here and it feels like your quality of life's like a 1 or a 0. You're like, I wish I could get those girls, or I wish I wasn't constantly struggling for money, or like all these kinds of things, like you're dealing with them down here. And that's the second life path, is the life path of pain. And what happens is 98% of people let this life path continue. And they continue to feel bad for themselves. They continue to wallow in the pain. They don't change themselves. And they feel like life screwed them over. And what happens is they end up kind of running into like this area where they meet up with the people who peaked early on in life. And they're all just kind of crashed out together at like 32. They're all out of shape. They all don't have confidence. They all don't like their jobs. They're all broke. They're all kind of in the same shitty situation at this point. It's just the pain crowd never got to look back and reminisce on a quality experience of life. And so this is what happens to most people who experience pain, is they let the pain destroy them. Pain is universal. Your relationship with it will define you. I want you to understand that, guys. Like, pain is going to be something you're going to deal with for the rest of your life. Pain is a sign that you're alive, genuinely. Every area of your life comes with pain. Like I said, I had the pain of struggling with women. Now I don't struggle with women, and the pain that I have to deal with is the fact that I find women annoying when I communicate with them for a long time, and I have to figure out how can I have women in my life without letting them distract me from my goals. That's like a pain that I have to deal with. It's a different pain. It's a better pain than the one I had to deal with. I have, in my career, I'm doing well in my career at this point. There was a time when the pain in my life was being broke. I fixed that pain. Now the pain is I'm working my ass off all the time and I'm waiting for it to really start paying off. That's a different kind of pain. And when it starts paying off, the pain is going to be, how do I manage all this money? Because the tax man's going to come for it. This person's going to want some of it. All this kind of shit. Like, how do I manage this? The stress of having all this pressure and responsibility on you. Pain's a part of life. Your relationship with it will define your life. And these people, the 98%, they let it destroy them because they don't have a good relationship with pain. 98% are used by their pain and it destroys them. They say things like this: I'm a victim, or I've been screwed. This is the entire black pill movement when it comes to women. Oh, it's genetics, it's this, it's that. Like, I'm probably, almost every video I put out, somebody makes fun of me for having a bald head, like I give a fuck. But that's that black pill mindset. These guys will comment this shit and try and get under my skin, and it's because they have given up on life and they're trying to tear everybody down around them. They are that 98% who never got to have the best of life young, and they're jealous of that, and they just let it destroy their lives. They say shit like this. Now, 2% use their pain as a catalyst to change their lives and become the best versions of themselves. And that's what I've done, and that's what I want you to do. And this is what that path looks like. Around that same point, I put it at 20, but it could happen later. It doesn't really matter. The point is, something snaps, and you're like, this cannot be life. And you take off, and you get to experience the best of life. Pain is the catalyst for experiencing the best of life. Even the people who are inherit fortunes and, maybe they're naturally incredibly attractive to women, these kinds of guys, deep down, they didn't build anything themselves and they feel this like empty feeling. You'll see this a lot. This is why the children of rich parents tend to be like druggies and stuff like that. Pain is the catalyst for actually getting the best of life because you have to build it yourself, and then you are that guy who did that shit. You feel good about yourself and you get the best of life. This is what happened. This shit fires me up, guys, because this is the path I'm on, and I'm watching it happen, and I want you guys to do this. I don't want you guys to be that victim crowd. I hate that shit. It's disgusting to me. Just get your shit together, and this is what can happen. Use the pain, right? And it's not just women. I want you to understand this body right here that I have. I'm in elite physical shape. There was a time when I was the skinny, weak kid. I wish I had pictures of it, but it was like a long time ago. I don't have any pictures of it really. But I remember vividly, I was like 10 years old, and I had this like friend, like a bunch of friends over for this sleepover one time, and we had this wrestling tournament. It was, it was just kids, right? But we were like having this wrestling tournament to see who like 1 through 6, like who won the wrestling tournament and all this kind of stuff. And I remember I finished dead last in this wrestling tournament. And like I remember it vividly to this day. I remember getting pinned by this one kid and looking up and seeing my father's face. And he wasn't even disappointed in me. I was just disappointed in myself. Like I felt ashamed. Like I was in 6th place. And I know you might be like, that's silly. You were 10 years old. It's a wrestling tournament. But like this is the kind of shit that sticks with me. And I'm sure you've got moments like that in your life. And it's just like that sense of weakness. That feeling like I wasn't strong. Like those kinds of things. I remember a couple years later, I moved to a new town and all the kids in my neighborhood were better athletes than me. And so I was like the bottom of the totem pole kid. They were better at sports than me, and they made fun of me for this kind of stuff. I remember we were playing football one time, and one of them was running a route, and I was defending him, and he stopped midway through the route and pantsed me. Like, this was who I was, and I'd had enough of that shit, and so I ended up being physically excellent because of pain. If I had just been okay, I wouldn't have had that drive. Pain is the drive, guys. Like, I built this body off of pain, and I'm not saying I'm in pain about it now because I'm over the pain, but it was the pain that started it. And now it's like the pain's in the past and I'm grateful for what it gave me. And it's the same with women. Like I'm grateful that I sucked with women. You know what I'm saying? It could be like this for you right now. A lot of you guys, I'm making this school community right now for you guys. And I was asking in a poll, I said like, what's the most important thing you want to learn in the school community? And the overwhelming biggest vote getter of like what guys want to learn about in the school community is getting out of their 9-to-5 job and having a life of freedom. And it's because a lot of you guys are dealing with this shit right here. And it's painful and you think it sucks and you feel like you're screwed, right? You're in this cubicle. You're in that kind of apartment. You're driving a fucking Kia and you're tired of this shit. You don't like the job. It's like you feel like your life is to get up, work, pay bills, and die. That's what your life feels like in this period. And it's just, it sucks and there's a lot of pain in it. Well, 98% will accept this fate, complain about the system, and feel lost. So this is the group that goes online, talks about how, the system's screwed, it's screwing the average person over, and maybe there's truth to it, but who cares? Because you can't change this system, right? It's a victim mindset. But they'll complain about this shit. They'll talk about how wages aren't fair. They'll talk about how their middle managers are just not doing anything. They'll complain about all this kind of shit, blame the system, and act like they can't get out of this fate. And then they'll wander through life feeling lost and wondering how it ended up this way. Then 2% are going to be in that situation and they're going to say, there's got to be more to life than this. And they're going to change. They're going to be like, this cannot be it. This sucks. I've got one life. And I was thinking about this earlier. Imagine like how retarded it is to live your one life in a way that sucks. Like, why? For fear of judgment from people or because you're supposed to, because the system told you to? You're going to be dead. Who cares what the system says? Who cares what people think of you? Go do what you want to do with your life. So like, you're sitting in that situation. You're like, I'm wasting my one life on some shit I hate. Most people are going to accept it and blame the system. You're going to say, no, there's got to be more to life. And you're going to make a change. And you're going to go get this kind of shit. And maybe this isn't what motivates you, but like, insert your motivational vision. You know, you're on a laptop working for yourself in a nice location. There's no fluorescent lights overhead. Hear them buzzing. You know how fluorescent lights make that buzzing kind of sounds like, like you don't have to hear that shit constantly humming in your head in some cubicle. It smells like chemicals that they clean the floors with, all that type of shit. You know, you're on a beach doing something you love. You're connecting with people that are on the same mission as you. You're driving nice cars. You're living in a nice place. You know, that penthouse certainly beats that fucking apartment the average person's stuck in, right? Whatever your vision is, just insert it right there. It's possible for you, but you know, most people don't get that because of pain, because they're in that comfortable mediocre, right? Their life was never painful, so they just stuck on the normal life path. The normal life path is what people take because they weren't in pain, right? And that's why I don't really begrudge a lot of people for this. You know, I try to wake people up with this content, but somebody on the normal life path, it's just like, you know, things have worked out for them, and so they've never been like shocked out of the normality of it, right? They're like, you know, they got along with their parents well. Maybe they had a girlfriend in high school. They got a job that they're okay with. They're fine. And that's kind of their life. I don't begrudge people for it. They just didn't feel the pain. I'm trying to get at those of you who are feeling the pain and help you make a different choice in life. But the people who live the normal life, who had the comfortable mediocrity, they just go to college, get the job, yada, yada, yada. This stuff's not available to them. They don't have this opportunity because nobody's waking them up. They're not waking themselves up. Pain has not come knocking on their door, and so they just don't even realize this is possible. And they're not motivated to do anything about it, whereas you have the pain, and so you can do something about it. Moving on, you know, I give this guy shit in every video. I feel bad for this guy a little bit that I always put his picture in here, but you know, truthfully, like, I hope this pain motivates him to change. And who knows, maybe this was a before pic and this guy has changed. But like, imagine this is your physique right here. You know, 98% will make an excuse and feel sorry for themselves. They're going to be like this, looking in the mirror, I'm big boned, blah, blah, blah. My parents didn't love me, and that's why I eat some bullshit. They're going to make some crap up like that, and they're just going to end up stuck like, okay, fine, live your life that way. But 2% are going to do this, and they're going to go get a physique like this. And I know somebody's going to probably comment, Chris Hemsworth is on steroids. And that's how I'm going to know you're one of the 98% who make fucking excuses. Because the point isn't to take steroids. The point is to get a great body, right? This is what 2% will do. They'll be like, they'll be in this body, and they'll say, fuck that, I'm getting this shit. I'm going to change. I'm going to look good. I'm going to be attractive. Women are going to go home thinking about me because of how good I look. They're going to do that shit, right? It was the pain. Whereas if you're the guy who, you know, you're 16 and skinny naturally and you've got abs a little bit in high school and like you kind of had that like teenage good looking body, that guy ends up just gaining weight. He doesn't care, right? Again, he's crashed out. He's probably got some girlfriend who's also gaining weight at the same time. Like, I've seen this over and over again. I know you guys have seen it too. The guy who was like oh, he has a nice body in high school and like in reality is kind of mediocre, but it was okay for high school. That guy's just got a gut at this point. He's just like chewing dip spit or some shit right now, like working as like a high school football coach or some shit. Like they're all just like crashed out. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens when you don't have the pain. The pain allows you to unlock greatness. I want you to remember this quote here, guys. This is something I just thought up. I think this is so true. Pain is your soul telling you your life could be better. And I'm not talking about the pain of like a broken arm. I'm talking about that existential pain you feel inside when you're like, this life sucks. This shouldn't be this way. That is your soul trying to get you to change. It's trying to tell you, the Buddha said heaven and hell are an inch apart. And what he meant by that is like when you're in the worst moments is when you have the opportunity to rise the highest. I think it was Carl Jung, the psychologist, who said that a tree's branches cannot touch heaven unless its roots have touched hell. So what he meant by that is, again, like you have to experience the worst to be able to rise the highest. And most people kind of live in this mid spot where they don't feel a lot of pain and therefore they can't feel a lot of greatness. This is the thing. Understand, pain is your soul telling you your life could be better. The fact that you're watching this video means you know this is true. You know on some level it doesn't have to be this way. You're feeling some sort of pain and you're like, I want my life to be better. I don't want to work in this cubicle anymore. I don't like the fact that I can't see my dick when I look to pee. I don't like the fact that Bonnie in HR is talking my ear off every time I go into this office. I don't like the fact that girls don't even look my way when I go out. You're tired of that pain. You know it on some deep level. You're tired of going home every single day and, putting on the same fucking podcast and eating the same food and feeling like you're stressing over bills. You're tired of this shit. You're tired of having no purpose in your life and you know it. Well, I want you to understand that is your soul telling you that you're meant for more. And you know this is true and that's why you're watching this. You have the potential to be on that 2% route, okay? Heroes and villains have the same backstory. It's pain. Every hero comes from pain and every villain comes from pain. It's about how they used it. Villains take the pain and they use it to hurt other people. They are destroyed by their pain. Heroes turn their pain into greatness. That is the story of like everything. Literally go look at every story. It goes that way. Use your pain as the fuel to drive you to be the ultimate version of yourself and create your dream life. Whether it's women, whether it's, it doesn't really matter. Women, your career, doesn't matter. Use it as fuel and be like, I'm going to do something radically different than this, okay? That's all I got for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next video.